r/AskReddit by Reddit. What is your guess? I can't go into that store ever again story. I used to go to a bagel store near my work pretty often, maybe once a week or so. Family owned shop, with the dad, uncle, mom etc all working there, as well as the owner's daughter during the summer. I was always pretty friendly to everyone, and talked to the whole family as we were both from New York, but lived in the South now. Well, one time, after getting a sandwich to go and getting back to the office, I saw the daughter, who was maybe only a few years younger than me, had written her number on the to-go container, which was great, except I was happily engaged at the time. So later that week I went back, got lunch, and let her know I was flattered, but I was in a relationship, and she was very polite, and we just kind of moved on. The next week, I went back in again. The daughter wasn't working, but when I went to order, the whole family started grilling me on why I wouldn't date their daughter, accusing me of making up my fiance, saying I led her on and broke her heart. Again, we had never had any conversations more intimate than house school. Oh wow, the weather is hot today. Yeah, I miss New York sometimes too, hahaha. Then they asked how I was going to make it up to her, at which point I kind of slowly started leaving and told them I wasn't sure, but I will think of something, and have never returned since. I got a gym membership for the first time recently. A lot of the machines are pretty self-explanatory, but I've never used a lot of them, so I have no idea what I'm doing. So a few weeks ago I'm trying out the endless stare machine, and in front of me is a guy on a machine working his arms, like making circular pedaling motions. I thought, I could do my arms too. So I take the machine next to his, set the timer for 10 minutes, just circling away. I finish my 10 minutes, and look down by the seat to see handles. It was a leg machine. I sat there for 10 minutes in front of the entire gym, God, and everybody circling my arms like a lunatic. I mean, I'm still going back, because I paid for it, but I'm not going to look anyone in the eye there ever again. Not a store, but a public library. We're at the counter, and the librarian is scanning the books we've selected. She was generously sized. My little brother, 4 or 5 at the time, tugs my mom down to whisper something in her ear. He was rather new to the concept of whispering. He put his hand up to shield his lips from the librarian. Despite all this, he says, about the librarian, at standard speaking volume, "Hey mom, you ever notice how fat that lady is?" Mom tried to play it off by saying something akin to, "He thinks it's okay to say it to others 'cause he says it to me. But my mom's not fat." It did not work. We used to go there every day when my mom didn't want to have to hire a babysitter to watch us during the summer. She'd bring us to her office and let us walk across the street to the public library to play games on their Windows Vista PCs or just read books. She'd always come to pick us up when she was done with work. She started looking for babysitters soon after. Back when I was getting married, I was sick as a dog, and my soon-to-be bride insisted we go shopping for the wedding invites. Went into this pretty higher-end shop and really felt ill, and not just at the prices. Asked one of the workers if they had a restroom I could use. Long story short, took a massive smelly diarrhea dump, clogged the toilet, and they had no plunger to fix it with. Even though I only flushed once the toilet kept running, and it started to overflow. Rushed out, closed the door, grabbed my bride by the arm and just said, "We gotta go." I read so many stories of people taking massive diarrhea dumps in public toilets. Each time I can't help but think about the poor souls who do the cleaning later on. How do they fix it? Do barbershops count? Decided to get a haircut whilst having a cold. Sneezed and farted at the same time. Never went back. Oh god, I finally have a reason to share this story. One of the first jobs I had, I approached my boss in his office to discuss a report. As I was standing near him, he was sitting in his chair reading the file on his desk. I felt a sneeze come on. Knowing that I didn't have time to grab a tissue, I just turned away from him. However, the sneeze held off, but the gas in my stomach did not. I crop dusted the poor man. Embarrassed, I whipped my body back around to face him, and the centripetal force of my motion must have knocked my sinuses loose. I sneezed upon completing the spin, but was in too much shock to cover my face. I gave my boss both an aura of noxious odor and mucus spewed across his face. When I was a kid, my family went to a pizzeria and before the food came I went to inspect the plumbing. They had those sinks where you press down on the knob and the water would flow, with the knob slowly raising back up before it would turn off after 20 seconds. I used my fist and hit the top of the knob and the thing just popped off, and a huge geyser of water was erupting non-stop. Me and another kid were in there. We looked at each other and just bolted from the bathroom. I got back to my seat and just sat there silent. Then my mom went to use the bathroom, and when she came back she told us this story of how there was a pool in the bathroom hallway and the manager and an employee were in the men's room slipping and sliding trying to shoot off the water. My whole family was laughing at the story, but I just sat there silent. They asked me what's wrong, and I told them it was me that did it. They never fail to mention it every time we drive past a pizzeria even now 20 years later. I've never stepped foot in one since then. Edit. Since a lot of people are asking, inspecting the plumbing was a joke my family made when I'd go to pee at a restaurant. I'd usually be a glutton about free drink refills and would always have to get up and pee mid-meal, so my family always joked I was obligated to inspect the plumbing at every establishment. Can't you see, mother? It was me. I did it. It was my fault. How do you expect me to live with that? I used to go to the same haircut place since I was in kindergarten until I was in my teens. One day I go for a haircut and get this new, fairly attractive woman. As she's starting I start to sweat. Now sometimes when I was younger my head would get really hot and my head would sweat when I was in put on the spot sometimes. Anxiety I guess. No idea, but it's mostly gone away thankfully. Usually a few drops of sweat will roll down my face when this happens, but not today. It was like someone was standing over me slowly pouring a bottle of water slowly over my head. It just kept going and going. Eventually the girl mentions, "Wow, you must be really hot." I'm already very nervous and blurt out the first thing that pops into my head. "Yep, it must be because you're pretty." I'm not sure why this is happening. You're pretty but it's not like you're that pretty. So pretty much, as soon as the last words are leaving my mouth I start asking myself, why in God's name would you say that? Now I'm even more embarrassed and I have to sit through a haircut feeling like an idiot. A drippy wet idiot. Actual surveillance footage of me as the haircut was finishing. I spent the rest of the haircut praying for it to be done quickly or for a meteor to come through the ceiling and put me out of my misery. The girl handled the rest of the haircut like a goddamn pro. No idea why she didn't just kick me out. She finished, I paid, gave her a huge tip, and now I drive farther to get my haircut done somewhere else. This is a fond memory. Moved downtown to our university area. Got myself a sweet deal on a cheap, ghetto-as duck studio. The kind that get rented out to poor students next to the area homeless shelter. 2006. Rent is only $300 a month, and I'm not in school. Too busy being punk rock and making just enough for a roof and partying. Paradise. One weekend, I go to a show, get completely crap housed, and stumble back up the hill to either get more ducked up or pass out at home. I decide to stop at the 7-Eleven directly across from my building. Yeah, no. Snacks. I grab everything my impulses and lack of inhibition tells me to, and I'm about to pay for this garbage and be on my way. Set my things on the counter and politely introduce myself to the cashier as she is ringing up my last couple things without any kind of warning or rumbling beforehand. I'm in excruciating pain right in my gut. A split second flashes by. I clutch and clench my legs together. I gasped bathroom to her. It was too late 5 seconds ago. I try to take a step and bam. My bowels unleash with not only an ungodly sound from my butt, but a simultaneous yelp, as if I were a chihuahua that had just been stomped on. I swear I have never been so suddenly sober without a cop being involved. I have shorts on. I look down, and just liquid poop down the back of my leg, into my boots, and starting to puddle on the floor. I just ran. No change. No snacks. No words. I lived at that spot for almost 2 years. Never went back, and never even walked across their lot to get anywhere. I would walk the same way around that place, to avoid it every day. I feel terrible. Thank you for watching Reddit. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more r/AskReddit videos. Share your stories in the comments section below.